Hi, guys.
Good
Welcome.
afternoon, all. Welcome to another. What is this? Is it still inside Kate's kitchen?
Yes, it's still inside Kate's
Okay,
kitchen,
all right.
although we're not in the kitchen.
It's right on the other side of this wall here behind us.
Yeah,
It's like the doggy wants in, maybe.
yeah. He's doing fine
He
out
could
there.
wait.
Yeah, we'll let him go. Don't have it.
He's
Oh,
got.
one person just came in. Hi, welcome.
Oh boy.
I got to run get our little cheat sheet of statements here real quick.
I don't think that's it. It's good to see you here, folks. It's what is it, the 15th of March? So it's definitely the Ides of March. As it was for Caesar, it's kind of a bad day all the way around the world right now.
Cecilia Jansen. Hi, Cecilia. Good to see you. Just showed you some love. Watched your cabbage and corn. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it'll get you enthused to make some of your own. I'm going to be doing quite a few things with the Instapot now.
That was a good dinner. Although the cabbage got a little bit mushy, I think
Yeah.
maybe 6 minutes or 5 minutes instead of six, because it was. Well, hello there.
Celtic Bear.
Yeah, he just sent me a friend request, and I replied to it, and he said he'd see us here, and I
Good.
said can't wait. So glad to see you here.
Cecilia, I'm glad you came over from Anna's channel. She's a very lovely lady. I support her wholeheartedly, and I'm there as much as I can be. It's nice to know you came over from there.
Yeah, I went over and looked at Celtic's Facebook page. He's an artist.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize he was a sculptor and painter and all that stuff.
I knew he was a painter. I didn't realize he was a sculptor.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, Dean, it's good to have you here. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. It's good of you to keep supporting us. Thank you.
Hi, Tim. Good to see you.
Well, Tim.
It's been a while
Well.
since you've been here. I'm glad you came by.
And right on time. Tim's good to see you. How you doing, partner?
Yep, we're
Well,
talking about you, Celtic.
Yes, we are. But then isn't that the point here? I mean, why do we come here except to be talked about or talked to or something
Or
about
do some talking.
Yeah, just hang out and talk.
Well, I was telling Cecilia, because she saw it already, I did a corned beef and cabbage video that I released this morning. And I'm going to be releasing more cooking videos again. I think my next one is going to be, since Easter's coming, it's going to be doing hard-boiled eggs. And I'm thinking seriously about finding some natural coloring for them. Hi, Jason. Good to see you. Thank you, Cecilia. We came together late in life, but we're really glad we found each other. Dolly Perry, hi. I'm so glad to see you. How you feeling today, girl?
Tim, what are you busy doing? I know you stay busy, but anything specific that you're working on right now?
Well, we know he's petting Carl.
And Jason, good to see you too. Thanks for coming by.
I'm glad to hear it, Dolly. That is wonderful news. Dolly says she's pretty good. I'm glad she's getting back on her feet.
The reason I suggested calling this the Ides of March, because it's been a bad day for Kate already. She seems to be having quite a few little bit of disasters. This
It's
morning,
one of those days.
She managed to spill some coffee on her keyboard and tried to clean it up and put some
Didn't
water in
quite
it, and
do
then
it.
took the hair dryer to it, and it worked for a little while and then crapped out. So
Yeah.
we're having to use the keyboard on the laptop. So then she goes in to get her apron out of the spare room and ended up dropping a box on her foot.
It's one of those days.
And then she goes into the bedroom to bring out my big oxygen concentrator, which is a substantial machine that's on wheels. And she goes to start pushing that in there, and it tipped over and she almost fell. So Kate's not having a good day, so that's why I say it's the Ides of March.
And I don't think I'm going to build my greenhouses today
Yeah,
because I probably do something wrong.
Yeah.
Just one of those days.
But we all have days like that, it's just days where we should have stood in bed, it's
Maybe that's it. I didn't sleep in bed last night because I've been having problems with GERDs. I slept
Yeah,
in my recliner. Maybe that's what the problem is.
that was the day before the Ides of March. She's had an attack of acid reflux.
Yeah, I'm fine, Cecilia. I tend to be a bit of a klutz anyway, so it's not really that big a deal.
And it, in general, just kind of seems like the whole world is celebrating the Ides of March. I mean, if you're like me, I don't pay a lot of attention to the news, but I do at least catch the headlines in my local newspaper here in San Antonio. Everything is about this pandemic that we're going through, and it's just
Depressing. I don't watch the news anymore.
Talk about way too much information. It just so yeah, the whole world is kind of in the Ides of March grip right now. Oh, a tankless. Oh, I would love to have a tankless water heater, especially in our kitchen.
Yes.
Because if everything is just cold and you turn the water on in the kitchen to get hot water, it takes what, 5 minutes to get hot water? Literally takes 5 minutes to get hot water from the heater to the kitchen.
Jason, I need to warn you. Facebook is not Facebook. YouTube, thank you. YouTube is doing something now. We have to be very careful not to use the proper names for the bad bug. They're giving people hits on their channels, and I'm trying not to get that. Not that I would be demonetized since I'm not monetized, but I don't want to get in trouble.
I think Bruce Sarge had a pretty good idea the other night. They were calling it the Red Dragon.
Yeah, and I like calling it Buggy Boo.
But, they had Bruce Sarge had a whole panel, had about 4 guys on screen.
Yeah.
And we were all talking about the preparations for the Red Dragon and, how it's affecting everybody. And, of course, everybody is just kind of panicked, which personally, I have quite a history in epidemiology by the time I was in the military. So transmission of diseases and even pandemics.
Hi, Lisa Clark.
Are one of the things that I studied and worked with and had to think about. And as scary as it all is, on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as a pandemic, this is like a 2. So I'm not all that worried about it. It could get worse, but it could also just be a flash in the pan. There's a lot of people doing the right things, though. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, canceling all the sporting events and all the big public gatherings is a great idea. But this is the Players' Championship weekend for golf. I mean, I can't stand not having my Players' Championship.
Let's talk about something other than the virus.
But they're moving in the right direction.
Celtic says he needs a new hot water heater. His was made in 1984.
Yeah. And we've been through, 3 water heaters since we've been here?
Yeah, and we've only been here 7 years.
And it's bizarre. Now, granted, a couple of them have been handled by warranty, but still in all, it's just
probably
water heaters don't seem to last long around this house. Yeah, Freaky Geek, YouTube, I think, tends to overreact on a lot of stuff, but
Hi, Barefoot Chicken.
They're trying to just cut down the paranoia and the panic and all that sort of stuff. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Lisa, I'm with you. I'm not panicking for many reasons. First of all, God's in charge. Second of all, I have a pantry. I believe in preparing for bad times and good. So I've got a lot of it there. So I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, we got bigger fish to fry. To be honest with you, we just won't admit it. But
right.
There's a lot of other things out there that are a heck of a lot more deadly than this.
Dolly said she could see my face go pale when we started talking about it.
Well,
I'm not worried about it. I'm really not, guys, but I'm so tired of people talking about this problem and that problem and how they're going to deal with it and what we've run out of in the stores.
And so much disinformation.
Yes.
So much disinformation.
Jason, I didn't know either until the other day when I was moderating on someone's channel and they did not use a different name and they got a kit. So It's better to be safe than sorry, in my personal opinion.
Yeah,
Let's
even
see. We
mine.
have food and 3 acres. We're good. Good for you, Tim. We are too. Hi, Carrie. Good to see you. Have to go.
Well,
Can't be
thanks
with
for
you
at least
today.
dropping by, Carrie. Hit the like button, and then appreciate you coming by.
Yeah. Come see us in the replay if you can.
Yeah, Dolly, I agree with you there. If they can get some real science on this, and they're trying to. Um, the CDC is, well, I could go into some detail about how shot in the butt the federal government is about trying to get a handle on this, going back to who fired all of the pandemic panel in the White House in 2018, dismantled it entirely, and didn't bring anybody else in. So we had absolutely no federal agency to deal with anything beyond the CDC for anything that affected national health. But I'm not going to go there. So
I agree with Celtic Beer and Freaky Deep. They want food in the pantry and a few rolls. I've got both of those.
Yeah, Kate's. I've teased Kate over the last few years about her canning and dehydrating and putting food up and all that sort of stuff. But I'll tell you what, I'm real glad we got a room full of food. So now we don't have enough toilet paper, but that's okay.
We got enough to last.
Yeah, we got enough to last us for a while. We did not go out and panic buy anything, so just didn't need to. Just trying not to. I heard the other day that somebody in Canada had actually developed a vaccine. I didn't know how much, credence to put to the rumor, but that they already were working on a vaccine up in Canada. Of course, now see, that's not going to impress the United States, because if we didn't invent it here, it don't work. So,
Dolly, I've got 17 tomato plants there are starts that need to be planted in pots, since I don't plant in the ground. And I've got all kinds of other seeds to go in, and I've got some herbs all ready to go in the soil too. So I'm with you, girl. I'm planting and just going on the regular way. I'm not letting it shake me.
Tim, I got a question for you. The wheelchair is still out of order, but there's something new going on. Every night, exactly at midnight, the controller, right in something in the controller mechanism, that little box where the joystick is, starts beeping. And it beeps for 1 minute. And it's got a couple of different tones to it. And then right at the end, for like the last 10 seconds, it's just a solid beep, 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 beep. And then it quits. But it's done it now for like 4 nights in a row. Exactly at midnight. I can set my watch by it. So I don't know what's going on with that. I don't have anything fixed. I've been, Kate actually came across the name of a shop here in San Antonio, apparently, that does work on electric wheelchairs. And I'm planning on calling that guy come Monday just to see what he's might be able to do for me. I need to get it fixed. It certainly helps for getting outside, and I want to do that. So, yeah, I'm still if the U.S. doesn't develop it, then we think we have to invent everything here in the U.S. I mean, it's just it's an insane national way of thinking. But anyway, yeah, until they start sharing that cure, I won't believe they have it. Well, to be honest with you, I don't think the Canadians would be selfish with it. I think the American government will be reluctant about accepting it, to be honest with you. I think they'll just say, oh, well, we're not sure. We'll have to test our own, and we'll take a look at it in 6 months. We'll let you know.
Yeah, if the U.S. can't make money off of it, they don't want it. That's a shame, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, Tim, what I was saying, well, it does have a clock in it. It's got a clock in there, and it still has power, so the battery's still working. But I can't figure that. The first night it did it, I didn't know where it was coming from.
Yeah.
And I had Kate running all over. Of course, she can't hear beans, but I had Kate running all over, hoping that she could hear it.
And I couldn't.
And then I started, got my walker and I'm tooling around trying to find this beeping noise. And the wheelchair was my last choice, So I'm looking at, things like the thermostat on the wall or anything else that's electric that could possibly be putting out some kind of a signal, and I couldn't find it. So the second night, when I heard it, I got up and I kind of started echolocating, and I pinned it down to the controller console on the wheelchair. I don't know. I mean, I put my ear down, I could hear it a lot better. So I know where it's coming from.
Just
And
don't know why or
I
how to
pushed some
stop it.
buttons. I plugged the chair back into the charger just to see if that stopped it. It didn't. I don't know.
No, it isn't freaky. We thought that, but
I
that's
thought
not
that
it.
too if the battery was low, but I mean the whole symptomology of this chair going out is just kind of bizarre. So I don't know what's going on.
Dolly, yes, I garden in pots. I just don't have the strength anymore to dig in the ground. I have several pots hanging from the covering over our walkway. I've got sage out there. I've got parsley out there. I've got several other herbs that are going to go in hanging pots out there. And then I've got a friend who got me 9 of these 30-gallon tubs that she gets cow food. Her son gets cow food for his cattle in, and they're going to make great pots to grow in. So we did unplug the main cord to the joystick. We haven't tried that yet. Anyway, I'm just putting together soil. I have a whole bunch
I'll
of
try that, Tim.
I have a whole bunch of wood chips that have broken down for about 4 years, and I'm going to screen that and use that for some of the soil. And then our local Tractor Supply had gardening soil on sale for $2.50 for a 40 quart bag, or I call it a 40-pound bag. That's what it feels like. And I got quite a few of those, so I'm going to make some good garden soil for that as well. But I've got buku buttloads of seeds of all kinds. So I have raspberries in containers, and I have a banana tree in a container, and I have a mulberry in a container.
Hello, John. Good of you to come by. I see you watched the video.
Oh, Happy, hi.
That was an easy one to edit. I've got to tell you that. When I go through Kate's videos, yeah, there's kind of a process involved. Kate tends to use the word now a lot, and she also does and oh and things of that sort. So as I go through her videos, I try to just clip that out. You know, I mean, it's like a quarter of a second. But the video was, I think, originally about
15 minutes long?
No, it wasn't even that, like 14 minutes. And even with the addition of the titles in front and the titles in back, I still got it down to 13 minutes.
13 minutes and 2 seconds.
Yeah. And I had to redesign everything because everything I had as far as my artistic work on the opening and closing is on my other machine that I just took down a few weeks ago. And then when I got my new computer, and it didn't occur to me that I needed to transfer all my stuff over from the application that I used to work on our videos. So I lost all of my graphics and all of my, I can still get it back. I mean, it's not lost forever. But I've got to boot that other machine back up and figure out where all that stuff was located and download that to a hard or to a thumb drive and then get it back over where it needs to be on my new machine.
Happy, I like thumbs up better.
Which I'll do. But
Celtic, I've opened that, followed your link in another tab. So when the live stream is over, we'll go over there and check that out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean. I noticed, Dean, on your page that you have back issues too. I can certainly relate to that, friend. I've had 5 back surgeries. I wear a morphine pain implant. I've got these, what I call little back jacks in there. They went in and tried to put spacers between the vertebrae in my spine. I had a hip replacement back in 16, and now my left hip is breaking down on me. And I do have scoliosis and all those things pretty bad, and a lot of other stuff. So I'm still a resident of Bad Back City, that's for sure.
And when he has the other hip, then he will be my bionic husband.
Well, let's see. I got artificial lenses in my eyes.
Right.
Got an artificial hip. I got a pain pump implanted in my back. I got spacer in my back. He's
pretty bionic already.
I'm getting on toward bionic pretty quick.
And we don't want to tell anybody, but I'm starting to have hip problems. So that may be something in my future. But
Yeah, she's been having a lot of hip trouble here lately too. So far, sitting on a heat pad seems to help her a lot, but
hi,
that's
Lori.
not going to
Good to
last
see you,
long. Hi,
Lori and
Lori.
Max.
Oh,
I have to,
go ahead.
I
Sorry.
was going to say, I have decided that all of these aches and pains are just a part of being older. So I'm not going to let them depress me, and I'm not going to let them get me down
Oh,
because
I
I'm not old here, and that's where it matters most.
well, I try not to let them depress me, that's for sure, but they do get your attention. And I'll
Yes,
tell you, I've really
Cecilia.
come to believe that youth is wasted on the young because if
Cecilia, I
I,
use moringa, and I make moringa capsules for my 90-year-old mother who has arthritis pains, among other things. And we're using it to reduce the inflammation in her joint.
yeah, it's been kind of an interesting couple of days. Yesterday, we had the motors replaced on both of our garage door openers.
Ooh,
We've got a what?
if Celtic Bear had L4 and L5 gone.
Yeah. Well, my stuff is between L5 and S1. That's where I first broke down, and I had my first surgery back in 1983.
Hi,
So
Lynx. Good to see you. Yeah, I've used turmeric as well. Back to the garage door opener. Um,
and yeah, Tim, I'm working my way toward being a $6 million man.
I went over to Lowe's and found the actual units to be replaced and got what I thought was going to be the best one on the market. And I looked at the price and said, $500 a piece. No, I'm not doing it. So got those out, got the ones I wanted in. And the only difference between the ones I bought, which were 130, and the ones I didn't buy, which were 499, was the one for 499 said it was Wi-Fi capable. When we got it home, got the 131 home, we found out it is Wi-Fi capable as well, and it was the same as the higher one. So I got two of them for 130 each, and then the guy
The
cost
guy,
us
the guy that did the work for us is a garage door specialist, and
smart as
he
could be.
suggested what we get, and just said if you guys go buy this stuff, I'll come by and put it in for you. Charged us next to nothing. I mean, to do both doors, replace the motors and line everything up, and get them working just perfect. Replace the belts and everything. I mean, $250 is nothing. But what I wanted to tell you about was all the technology that went along with it. Yes, we had to, it used to be you just put the motor up and you push the button, door opens. No, not anymore. Now you got to program your phone. First, you got to download the app. Then you can program your phone so that you can literally open and close your door from wherever you might be. You get down to
Down to the grocery
downtown
store or
and
whatever.
oh, did I close the garage door? Well, you could take a look and you can tell. You get alerts when it's opened or closed. We got panels on by our front door and another one out on the outside of the garage where we can open it with those. Again, those are all wireless. Technology is great, except when it doesn't work. So, the thing that I'm worried about is that all this stuff is going to just break down and all you're left with is manually opening and closing the door.
Lex, I
Gene, I'm
have
real
the
sorry to hear about all your back issues. I can certainly sympathize with you, friend. I know what you're going through. I've been there and I've done all that. So
hi, Mary. Good to see you.
let me catch up here. Oh
While he's
God,
catching
S1
up,
is on the
links,
way out.
I have the tab open, but I have not been able to sit and really study it. Um, Cecilia, it depends on what you're talking about, whether the surgery worked or not. Some of the surgeries he's had have caused other things to go wrong. So just kind of depends on what surgery and what we're expecting from them.
Mary Cleveland just dropped in. Hi, Mary.
And I agree, whoever said it, I don't know right now who said it, but growing old is not for sissies, and this is not the golden years of life.
And freaky, yeah, nowadays, especially if you're using like Nest or some of those other things, you can literally monitor your whole house. I mean, you can open and close your doors. You can see what your surveillance system is seeing at home, and I mean, it's amazing what
Yeah.
they're doing with us now, and it keeps making me think that all that stuff is so susceptible to invasion and hacking and all that sort of stuff. It's just, we're opening ourselves up for a lot of bad stuff.
My best friend and her husband have everything in their house connected together. They can check everything on the
Yeah.
phone. They can turn on light. They can turn off or turn on the heater or the air conditioner. I mean, it's amazing what they can do with it. And I hesitated getting any of that for the longest time because I don't want people to be able to get into my house on my phone or whatever. I don't like opening myself up to that kind of thing.
I don't remember who was asking a minute ago. I think it was Mary
Mm-hmm.
was asking about back surgery that she'd been considering for like 5 years.
Don't think that was Mary. I think that was. Let me quickly scroll
go
up
back.
to see if I can tell who it was. Cecilia.
Cecilia. It depends on the surgery, Cecilia. If you're looking at, having things fused together, I'm not a big fan of that because
Tim,
then
that's funny.
golden parts replacement. Yeah, there you go. That's about right.
Me too, Celtic.
If they're going in to fuse things together, just bear in mind that you're going to lose a lot of mobility.
Very
Other than
quickly,
that,
links. You say you're trying to read Gabe Brown's book. Gabe Brown is not the Gabe Brown from Alaska's Bush people. So who is Gabe Brown? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
It truly depends on the type of surgery. If you're going in, for example, my most recent one, when they put the pain pump in, was simply to relieve the nerve pain.
Thanks for coming, Dolly.
Because I was a basket case, to be honest with you. And so we tried a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
I tried to do it in a stepwise fashion. They put in a spinal cord stimulator, and come to find out that it was my hip that was going bad at that time. So once I got the hip replaced, the spinal cord stimulator didn't do me any good because that only works on muscles, doesn't work on nerve pain. So I had them take that out, and the new hip has worked perfectly ever since I got it in. So that part went away. So my right hip is fine. But then the nerve pain in my spine, because I've lost almost 4 inches of height since about 2015 or 16. So I used to be almost 6 foot, and now I'm just a little over 5'8". So obviously things have compressed and bent, and I can see the scoliosis in my spine when they show me the x-rays and the curvature. And a lot of stuff has just collapsed. The spacing has gone between my vertebrae. So when they put the pain pump in, that was a godsend because that's been the biggest thing that has kind of brought me back. Now, the rest of my mobility issues, I still can't get around real well. And then there's the COPD that makes things pretty rough too. So I'm by no means a well man, but I'm a lot better than I could be. And as far as the back surgery, if they're going in to do for pain, if it's nerve pain, I would want to look into a pain pump. If it's muscle pain, I would want to look into a spinal cord stimulator.
I'll check it out, Link.
And if it's just the spine itself, then you just got to decide how much surgery you want to put up with. Dr. Dave is off the air.
Celtic, I knew you were tall. I was telling Dave I thought you were about 6'5", but 7 feet is a lot taller than that.
Now he's only 6'11". Yeah, you haven't lost that much, Dean. I'll tell you what.
Welcome back, Happy.
When I went to a doctor after everything kind of collapsed and they put me on the thing there, and at that time they said I was 5'9". I said, what? It was a bit shocking, but then I noticed that my pants were fitting differently. So anyway.
And I was 5'5.5", and I am now 5'3", which is where I was when I was 12 years old. So I've lost that few inches, and that's just the way it goes. I've had no surgeries. It's just compaction through the years.
I understand that, Lisa, about your mother having surgery and it was bad. I've been real lucky. I've had good surgery. Now, I'll tell you this. They were recommending back surgery to me way back in the 70s, and it was orthopedic surgeons that wanted to work on me, on my back. And I would simply ask them, can I see your hands? and they kind of would look at me a little oddly, and then they'd show me their hands. If you've ever noticed, orthopedic specialists have lumberjack hands. They're bone breakers, is what they are. So they've got big, meaty hands.
Kathy.
And then finally, I happened to run into a neurosurgeon, and I asked him to see his hands. And again, looked at me rather oddly. But he had these delicate hands with long fingers, kind of like a concert pianist. And I said, "You're my man. You're my man." And he fixed me when the little bit of surgery he did on me way back in '83, fixed me for almost 30 years before I started having trouble again. So yeah, it's who does the work. My hip surgeon, my hip was done in 2.5 hours? Isn't that how long the surgery took?
I think it was closer to 2 hours. It was fast.
2 hours to do a total hip replacement. And I've not had a bit of trouble with it since, other than that leg is now a bit longer than the other one, but that's another story. So yeah, it all depends on who you get and what's being done and how good they are at what they do.
Do you see what Happy had? Compression fractures of L1, 2, and 3 20 years ago, and no bad effects.
That's pretty, yeah. The only thing that saved you there, I think, is the fact that it really was up in your mid-back. If it gets down toward the lower back, it's worse. L5 and S1 is a terrible place to have trouble. I can tell you that for sure.
Hi, Bandana Grandma. It's good to see you.
Yeah, Tim. Yeah, you're just one lazy old dude. Yeah, that's true.
Bandana Grandma, are you going to have your live tomorrow?
Lisa said she shrunk 4 inches. Yeah, part of that is just getting old too.
Yeah, compression.
Yeah, and being neurosurgeon fixtures. Yep. I don't trust orthopedic surgeons. I mean, if I got a broken leg, yeah, but to do any kind of neurosurgery, ortho ain't gonna touch me.
I've had a lot of surgery, but it's never been orthopedic.
Yeah, the biggest thing is a good surgeon, and look them up. I mean, nowadays you can go in there and really study their history and where they went to school. And the thing to remember, and doctors hate me because I tell them this to their face, you have to remember that half of all doctors graduated in the lower 50% of their class. So doctors all think they're kind of godlike. I said, well, don't forget that half of you graduated in the bottom 50% of your class. So who was the last guy that graduated? That's not the guy I want for my doctor. So anyway, doctors don't like me anyway. I've fired doctors and they don't like that.
Doctors don't like me either because I have the same attitude.
Yeah. And I got better things to do than sit around like doctors run my life. They're my advisors. I hire them like I hire a plumber, an electrician, or
hello, Leonard. Good to see you.
Some other technical trade. And when I tell them that, they get pretty freaked out. Okay.
The thing that freaks him out, and I've seen him do this, is when he gets a doctor that has one of those "I'm God" attitudes, and he looks at him and says, "What you don't understand is you work for me. I hire you just like I hire a plumber." Their response is just amazing. I love to sit back and watch that happen.
Yeah,
Hi, Hardneck. It's good to see you.
One time I went to this guy and I said, "Well, we're accepting new patients." And I said, "No, you're not. People are hiring you. You don't accept a patient. They come and hire you. You're the labor."
Hi, Homestead. Remember,
you work for me. I said, "I take your advice, but I make the decisions." That doctor and I didn't stay together too long.
No.
So anyway,
by the way, Tim, if you stand up, you'll probably be over 5 foot again.
Yeah. Mary, lots of doctors, lots of tests. I hate testing.
I think they should have to go through the test to see if they qualify.
Tim says, I went from 5'10" to 4 foot.
Hi, Roberta.
Tim, that's the right idea. Yeah, that's 4 foot. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Roberta, I've got the spinal stenosis and I got osteoarthritis. I got all of that. Well, the doggy's coming in. Well, come on in. Come on, you can do it.
Happy says, my mom, who is 89, has neuropathy in her feet and naturals. Any suggestion? I have neuropathy in my hands. I haven't found anything that works. Hello, Giddy Up Gal. Good to see you again.
Links, I can't address that, but on reproductive issues,
I'm gonna let the dog in.
personally, my opinion on that is there's a lot of women out there that have dedicated their lives. I'm not going to say they're midwives because they're much more than that. But I'm almost inclined to think that folk medicine is better for most women's reproductive issues because the doctors, all they learn is the medical aspects of it. So, yeah, yeah, you can be
Whoa.
5'10" in your chair if you go all the way up. That's pretty good, Tim. Mary, you were diagnosed with terminal liver cancer? Doctor wants to know if cancer is anywhere else in the body. Well, that's kind of exploratory surgery then, isn't it? Well, I wish you the best of luck, darling.
These are dysfunction of one or more peripheral nerves, typically crushing, numbness, or weakness. Well, mine started out, they say, as carpal tunnel, which is repetitive injury because I spent my whole life at a keyboard. But it's gotten worse since there. You never know.
Giddy up, gal,
hello, North Star Prepstetter.
After 20 years of hearing those bird screams, they don't much scare me anymore. That's just kind of a, hi, I'm over here. Don't forget me. Huh.
What's
Link says the best diagnostics for women is taking charge of your fertility and period repair manual, and to go to naturopaths. Like I said, I think women, number one, understand women a whole lot better in that particular area. It's gynecology and obstetricians, being a guy.
Intermittent links.
If there's one thing that a man cannot relate to, it's the woman's reproductive system. So we can be an expert on it, but how can we relate to it? I just
can't. Honey, let's be truthful. Most men don't understand women. Period.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but
I can't argue with that. I really can't. I mean, that's
it's just crazy.
I can't argue with that. It just but don't forget that the medical industry. Oh, you don't even want me to go off on that tangent.
Stenosis, osteoporosis, osteoarthritis,
bone spurs, bulging discs, and other chronic illnesses.
Good heavens!
And then fibro.
Jason says, "Good answer, Dave."
God love you, Lisa. God love you.
Mm.
Yep.
Wasn't going to say that, Kay. It's true. Do women understand men?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I think.
Well, although women understand what motivates men.
Understand what?
What motivates men.
Yes.
Food, booze, and sex. That's it.
Yeah.
Maybe some sports.
Food.
I said food, booze, and sex.
Okay. I didn't hear food. I heard
and then
booze
maybe
and
some
sex.
maybe some sports.
Yeah. That's why I only see men doctors. They know men things. That's right, Celtic.
I got to admit, though, the best general practitioner I've ever been to was a woman. And then, unfortunately, I lost her, but she definitely earned my respect.
I went to a GP.
Well, I didn't want to go just sex, drugs, and rock and roll because that really reveals my age. But yeah, you're right. That's what motivates men: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Yep. And I think for women, you guys just have a much more complicated system than we do.
Cecilia,
I'm glad I don't have to deal with the issues that a woman does medically. That's for sure.
Hello, Heaven Bound. And Cecilia, I don't know. Being monetized is not something that I'm all excited about. I didn't get on this journey to be monetized. I got out here because I love sharing how to cook. If I get monetized, okay. If I don't, that's okay too. I'm not all worried about that. So last time somebody told me they had checked, I had a little over 3,000 hours, but that's been some months ago. I really don't know, to be honest.
I thought you told me one time you had to have about either 4,000 or 5,000
You have to
hours.
have 4,000 to be monetized, but I don't know how many I have. And she was asking how many more I need, and I don't know.
Well, monetization, even when you do get monetized at that 4,000 hour mark, it's nickels and dimes. And I mean,
I meant
if that's your goal is to make money on YouTube, then you need to start thinking about getting 100,000 or 500,000 viewers and putting out videos every day and doing live streams, 2, 3 times a week. That's not where we're at. This is fun. This is a gathering of friends. This is us sitting down with people that have some of the same interests or at least some of the same backgrounds. We're largely part of the same generation.
Yes, Freaky.
We just enjoy hanging out together, and that's not the goal of monetization. There, you're being driven by a profit-oriented thinking, and neither Kate nor I are in that frame of mind at all. So I could honestly say, I don't care if this
Thank you,
ever gets
Mary.
monetized. It's not my goal. And I don't think it's yours either.
No, it is not. One thing I will say about being monetized, and this was something that Daddy Curbs told me, was YouTube makes money whether I'm monetized or not on my videos. So if I qualify to be monetized, I should go ahead and apply for it because they're going to make the money anyway, and I might as well get a part of that money. Well,
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
If we don't take it, then somebody else gets it, and that part kind of ticks me off.
but I'm just
But-
not money driven that way.
Yep.
I'm not interested in making money off my friends. I do want 1,000
Oh, now
subscribers
that makes sense.
to do lives on my phone. Now.
That makes
Giddy Up
sense.
Gal, I subscribed to you last week.
Yep.
Hi, Tracy. Good to see you.
Yeah, Dean, you're right. We're just hip seniors. That's for sure. Actually, that's funny you should mention that. The guy that came by to do our garage doors yesterday was very surprised at the level of technical expertise that Kate and I had about all things electronic or internet based. Because
Right.
he was telling us, well, we can tie this into our phones, and I said, oh, do I just go over to the Google store and download the app and set it up? He looked at me and said, yeah. And then I go over and I do that, and I said, okay, you're gonna need the password when you go outside to set this up for my network router. Here it is. So I give him the password, and he kind of starts asking me some questions. I said, look, I was around the internet when it was ARPANET. I was one of the first 10,000 subscribers to Gmail when you had to have an invitation to join.
And I did
Kate's
too.
been around the internet since it was strictly being used on education campuses.
Mhm.
I was there when the internet was born. I mean,
So was I.
I might be old now, but I've been there. I've done that. I was there whenever HTML was invented. I was there when they announced I
used to do Linux.
when I
That
first
tells you
started
anything.
visiting the internet, there were less than 10,000 active websites in the whole world. So that's how long I've been around this stuff. So yeah.
Why can't you carry it, Giddy Up Gal, or do it on your phone?
Chaos here in Belgium. What are you talking about over there? What's going on in Belgium?
And I don't know anything about the helpful perks, but if I end up qualifying, I will go ahead and apply, not because I'm all that money oriented, but because Blake says it's a good idea and he's my mentor. Restaurants closed, only food shops and chemists are allowed to open on weekends. Is that because of the buggy boo virus that's going around? Just imagine you was old when internet started, and now internet is older than you. What with all the computer upgrades? That's probably true, Freaky.
Well, the first computer that I owned was a Commodore VIC-20,
And I had one of those too.
and it had 3K of memory, and that was a big deal. You had to use a little tape drive to load your programs, and the only thing you had to write it in was BASIC. And your first program was how to write a program, or your first job was to write a program that said, hello. So I've been around since that time. That was back in the early 80s.
And I did in the early 80s, ran a business using the what was it, Commodore 64?
There's a Commodore 64, but before that there was a VIC-20.
Yeah.
Of course, Commodore went under, which was a real shame because they had some of the best processors out there. The Commodore was actually the first company to have dual processors, but they did their marketing badly, and they tried to open up a big market over in Europe, and it failed, and it just took them under, and they tanked. But yeah, Commodore made some good machines back in the day.
Yeah.
But the Commodore 64 was enormously popular. It had the best game processor. In fact, a lot of people still use Commodore 64s and the 128s for gameplay because they're good.
Celtic had a Tandy TRS.
Yeah, and the Tandy Trash 80, yeah, that was a good one too.
You know, Giddy Up Gal, you're talking about calculators being the size of cash registers. First calculator I ever had 100 buttons and you punched it in and then pulled
the old Fridden calculator. I used that every day. So I had to calculate weights and stuff of food that came in. Okay, my first IBM back in '88 cost 4 times what they cost now. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I bought what I thought was a really hot computer back in the early '90s for like $2,200, and you know that I went into debt to buy that machine, and it had a 100 gigahertz processor. That was it. Not even I'm talking megahertz, not even gigahertz. 100 megahertz processor.
What amazes me is inside our home right now, we have more memory capability than they had on the first moonshot.
Sweetheart, in your phone, you've got more memory. Just in your phone.
Isn't that amazing?
You know, just
wow.
Our typical smartphone today has more computational capability than did the entire room of IBM machinery that they used to help put man on the moon.
Thank you, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, Bandana, I know exactly what you mean. $24.88. Yep.
Wendy, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I don't know what Nan is.
What?
Wendy Hardneck Farm says, who is that Nan, N-A-A-N?
Oh, I don't know.
Sorry, who can tell us?
What?
Oh, she was telling me that Blake from Daddy Curb's Farm can tell us about all of that.
The monetization.
Yeah, and the perks you get from it.
He's got well over 100,000 followers and is very active and very astute, very involved, really sharp guy. And I think if you look it up, it's it's the family or
it's Daddy Curb's Farm.
Daddy Curb's Farm. That's it. Yeah. If you look up Daddy Curb's Farm, you should be able to connect with him.
And if you join the Fanily, F-A-N-I-L-Y, or request to join it, you have to answer 3 questions that are not hard to answer. I think it's who is Daddy Curbs and a couple of others like that. So, and pretty much any answer works. We just want to see those who are interested enough to answer the questions will get in, no problem.
Because generally the ones that just want to come in there and cruise and be abusive, they won't take the time to do that.
And you're right, Bandana Grandma. Daddy Curbs is a great guy. You know, he lives less than 2 miles from us, and he's been my mentor since I started on YouTube, and he's just been awesome.
Yeah, here we find out where everybody got their first computer. Giddy Up, Gypsy got hers in 1990. Scared to use it for 2 years. Yep. The moon rocket computers, they didn't even have my pocket calculator or a checkbook calculator that I don't even use anymore had more memory in it than those things, or more power in it than those things did. Yep. It was amazing that we made it. I mean, you know, who would have thought in 1969 that with the technology we had back then that we could have gotten to the moon? It just, today we look at it and say, how did they do that?
Hello, thinking of others. Good to see you.
How did they do that? I've been down and Grandma met Blake last year at the HOA, I guess.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to get to go this year. I'm not sure.
Take care. Thanks for coming by. And thinking of others. Not sure who that is. So let's see what else been going on with us. Kate's about the only one that goes out into the world right now, so I'm pretty much staying here. So she's the one that's going out and doing all the meeting and greeting and
And
wandering
hunting and
around.
gathering too.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I took a quick look just at the headlines for the newspaper today. Every national story had something to do with the red dragon. Every one of them that they put on their. I get the digital edition, and it's got,
Yeah.
all the headlines.
Cecilia, the one I plan to go to is the Bayou Bash, and it's June the 20th in Lake Charles, Louisiana. It's being sponsored by the Broussard family. And so far, it is not being canceled, so we're hoping. Bandana grandma hunting and gathering toilet paper.
Yep.
No, darling, I've got plenty of that already.
Happy, actually, I was in Germany visiting my brother, and we watched the moon landing from Stuttgart, Germany, on his TV set in his quarters.
And I sat in the living room with my boyfriend at the time and my mom, and we watched it.
Yeah, that was a very. There's some things you remember
And that's one
forever, and that's one of them. I was.
That's like where you were when John Kennedy was
Yeah, I know. I
assassinated.
can
That's
tell
another
you.
one you don't forget.
I can tell you exactly where I was and what I was doing and everything about that day, and wish I couldn't, but I can. Yep. Oh, I'll tell you what though, if the Broussard's big gathering is canceled, I bet you Kate still goes just to go over and see them. Period.
Yeah, I would be very unhappy. Tim Turner, I've had a YouTube channel for about 10 years that I never checked, but I do have 20 subscribers. That is wonderful.
Well,
I didn't know you had one, Tim. I'll go check it out and
They ought
subscribe.
to be paying you for that one. I don't know. I set up a YouTube channel when I was still living down in Woodville. I don't even know what happened to it. I don't know if I ended up going in and actually killing it or not. I must have, because I don't see it anymore. But anyway,
Or maybe they just closed it down for you because
that could be
unused.
inactivity. I don't know if they do that or not, but I did have a YouTube channel when I was over in Woodville. So that had to have been, I probably put it up around 2009, somewhere around there, late 2008 or early 2009.
Hathy, who needs to get vitamin
Who
D?
needs vitamin D? Well, maybe he's talking to me, not getting outside.
Oh, yeah.
And that's true. I do need some, but Celtic said just subscribe to Tim's.
Oh, good. Now he's got 21. I'll go
Yeah.
be 22.
Uh,
We'll get you going, Tim. Then
yeah,
you're
you
going to have
need
to start doing
Need
videos
to get that thing off the ground. Start doing some videos, big guy.
or some live streams.
Yeah.
Get
Tell
your
you
wife
what,
and daughter in
you
there.
could do a video on how you make your pens. Your little wood turning and stuff on making your pens. That'd be interesting.
Take care, Bandana Grandma. Hope I
Take
see you
care,
tomorrow.
Bandana. We'll see ya. Thanks for coming by.
I am Ginger. I make my own
redheaded. He makes his own
vitamin
vitamin D. Yep.
D. Okay.
Yep. And Tim watched it in the school. Yeah, I was over in Germany. It was like, I don't know, 3:00 in the morning, something like that. But we
Yeah.
were up watching it in my brother's living room. It was one of the maybe half a dozen times that he and I were ever together in our lives. We weren't really close.
Well, how many years difference were there in
Well,
your ages?
16 years, and he was my
That
half
in
brother.
itself made a difference.
But
You were both,
we were
both single children,
yeah, we
only
just,
children.
well, when I came along, he left home. If that
Mhm.
tells you anything, he went off and joined the army at 16.
But he was probably going to join the army anyway. You
I
just
don't
happened
know.
to come along at that time.
I know, but well, he and my dad at that point didn't get along. They did later.
Yeah.
But the one thing in common that my brother and my dad and I have is that we all went military. Between the three of us, we've got 76 years of active duty. So there is that. Yeah, that moon landing, that was quite a deal. That was quite a deal.
Ah, Happy. Maybe you need to start doing videos too. You know, speaking of doing videos and YouTube channels, I probably would never have done my first video or my first live stream if it hadn't been for Blake, because
Yeah.
I didn't, number one, I didn't think that there was anybody out there that would have any reason to listen to what I had to say. I just didn't think. Bangladesh Canadian mom. Hello, welcome. I'm glad to see you. Um, he encouraged me. Dave encouraged me. Daddy
A
Curtis,
lot of the viewers on Daddy Curves
yeah, a lot of the
encourage her.
viewers did. And if I hadn't had that, I probably would never have made my first video. And I really, really love doing it now. But I had to sit beside Blake for almost a year being co-host with him on his channel, or supporter, or whatever you want to call what I was doing, before I got the nerve to actually do it. And I'm convinced for those who can have a mentor that you can sit in with and sit beside and do the live streams and that sort of thing, really, really makes a difference. You remember when I started Celtic? That's cool.
Thinking of others about running into your brother, I was in Izmir from late 1975. I think I got there in December until the middle of 78. So 76, 77, a little over 3 years, I think. The only time I was really in Germany was either going to the hospitals or going to the NCO Academy. I wasn't ever stationed in Germany. When I went to Germany during the moon landing, that was to visit my brother, who was an Army helicopter pilot. And we were on vacation, and my then wife and I went up there to visit him. So I was there only for a few weeks.
Celtic, I had a really nice experience this morning. I signed on to one of Bev's live streams, and she actually recognized who I was and said hello to me. That just thrilled me to pieces, because I have been watching her literally for years, and to have her recognize me, single me out, and say hello was really a thrill for me.
Some people have much better memories than others. I'd have probably said, "Who are you? Who are you, and what do you want?" That's,
You remember the video when he said that? When he said what, Haffy? Yeah, I have looked up to Bev. I know she doesn't know me by face, but she seems to now know my name.
probably when he was encouraging you to do a video.
And she's.
Well, I
she
encouraged
does that all
her.
the
I
time.
told her
It is nice.
the first few that we did with our phones, which I found to be totally inadequate. But I told her before she started, I said, if you get into this, I'll get a decent camera and I'll do your recording for you. And now she's gotten to where she does a lot of it on her own. But if need be, I am the camera operator.
And I like having him there.
And
it makes a lot more sense.
I also told her I would learn video editing, which I knew absolutely nothing about. So once she got started, I had to learn how to do video editing.
And he does a beautiful job.
And that was a learning curve. I got to admit, that was kind of tough.
And if you watch my older videos, you can see the difference, because when we started, it was very simple video, very simple editing, and now he does all kinds of beautiful things.
Well, I've got a better application now. I finally went out and bought one. When I first started out, I was using freeware.
Take care, Giddy Up Gal.
And
glad you came by.
I can't remember the name of it now. But anyway, it didn't cost me anything.
And Thank you, thinking of others.
Finally went up and ponied up a few bucks and bought an actual video editor that works. So
he does make it sing its song and do its live dance.
Go out in
does
the
a
snow.
Beautiful job.
Let Miss Ginger have her potty walk. Okay. Well, thanks for coming by. Giddy Up Gal. Good to see you. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thinking of others. Appreciate that. You have no idea how much we fight when we're not on screen. And she
got to get you for lying about that.
She beats me too. She beats me. But I'm not allowed to talk about that or she'll beat me some more. I have bruises.
Oh, you are
all
so
over
bad.
My body. Yeah. I have stitches, and wounds. And she kicks me under the table, throws food at me.
Oh, it's so bad. Kate, when do you think you're going to do the baking bread videos? Well, I've done several, Roberta, but I've been looking into doing some more. I did one doing potato bread where I made just all kinds of things out of one big batch of potato bread, and it was awesome. Um, I looked at doing an Irish soda bread as my next video since I've done the corned beef and cabbage, and Irish soda bread looks pretty easy and pretty good. So I may do that as the next one. I'm not sure that or hard boiled eggs for Easter.
Yeah, that's what Happy was talking about when you needed to start your videos.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys were right. You let me do it. What he wants to know what editor you use, hon. Filmora?
Yeah, Filmora. That's the one I use now. And I got a
Celtic Bear says you're lucky because I pick on you.
yeah. I don't tell her this, but when she beats me, I kind of like it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Mary.
I use Filmora. It's a good editor. It's the learning curve on it is reasonable. They've got some of the better tutorials on how to use it. That was one of the things that I ran into trouble with was I looked at a lot of different video editors and then I went out to try to find how-tos on how to use it. And almost across the board with all the other stuff or all the other brands that I was looking at, the tutorial videos were crap. I mean, they were just trash. So then I went to look at Filmora, and they had enough in-house videos that were actually created by the Filmora company to get me started. And then I went, of course, and I looked also online through YouTube, and I found a few that were useful to me there. A lot of them, again, were pieces of crap. It seems like so many game players put on videos on how to use a video editor, and they think a lot differently than I do, and they just approach their tasks a lot differently. I even did a few how-to videos on the previous editor that I was using. I can't even remember the name of that one now. I think it's on one of my YouTube channels. I did like 6 or 7 videos on how to use
That's right.
that particular editor because that was the
That's on the
freeware version.
Armchair Educator.
Could be.
It is.
And
I sent people to it.
oh, okay. That one I'd like to think I did a fairly good job of running down how to get started. But Filmora has done a better job of getting me going and keeping me going.
Celtic, I'm going to send you some
Natural
messages. I need
Guys.
to learn about that.
We were just talking about that before we came online today.
Right.
Yep.
I've got
Yeah, Two Family has been one of my inspirations. I picked his brain for weeks about how to do various things. I mean, that guy's got what, $100,000 worth of broadcast studio in his house. He's an amazing hardware guy, just amazing.
Tim Turner says you enjoy every minute of the meetings.
Oh yeah, of course I do. That's.
And Cecilia Johnson says you're kinky. Kathy from North
You
Shore
have
Webstead
no idea.
says you're so bad.
Hey, you got to keep life interesting, It's what's a little pain now and then,
Besides that, he loves making me laugh. He
That
really
I
does.
do. That I do.
Oh, Tim says Stacy beats him too,
Yeah, there you go.
and he loves it.
Yep. We all need to get beat up now and then, just to remind us who we are.
There's more than one way to keep a guy in line,
That's right. A lot of us like discipline, especially those of us with military background.
Howie's here. Hi,
Hey,
Faith
Howie, how
Forrest.
you
Good
doing?
to see you.
Canning apple butter. Cool.
Ahmad made it. Welcome
Hello,
back.
Ahmad.
I'm glad to see you, and thank you for your comment on my corned beef and cabbage. That was great. I really appreciate it.
You don't know Ahmad. He's, I believe, over in Saudi Arabia, so he's part of Kate's international audience. Oh, she's got fans all over the world.
I'm really amazed.
But I got her full time. Yep. If you've ever read anything that I've written, you know that I'm a very fortunate man. I haven't written anything in a long time
See what
either.
Celtic said? The old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but whips and chains fight me.
Like that. That's a good one.
Oh my.
Dean, it's probably a good thing we're not a lot closer together. I have a feeling you and I'd be friends. I took a quick look at your Facebook page after we hooked up through our friend request, and that's where I saw that you do a lot of painting and sculpting and things of that sort. But and I saw some of the other stuff that you've posted back over the last couple of years, just scrolling down real quick, and I have a feeling you and I'd probably be friends.
Well, you are friends, but
Well,
that
yeah,
would be
but
a face-to-face
yeah,
friends
I mean,
as well.
if he lived over there, we'd probably be hanging out together.
Yeah, you probably would.
Yep. North Star Prepstetter.
Celtic Bear, we're going
downhill fast. Yeah, we are in a lot of ways. But you gather speed as you're going downhill. That's if you like to live fast and furious, that's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, but a rolling stone gathers no moss.
Yeah, well. Let's see. I drove to Ohio and talked to two family at the big family homestead get together. Yeah, I would love to meet them. I don't follow them so much anymore, but every now and then I go over there and they're either Tuesday night or Wednesday night. I can't remember which one it is. One night it's just
Tuesday
general
night.
tech, and then the other night it's basically supposed to be kind of on Filmora.
Yeah.
But I
Tuesday
haven't.
nights on Fillmore.
I haven't needed to go there for quite some time. But whenever I do need advice, that's where I go and go looking for some of his older videos on how to use Filmora. He's been.
I'm
a real big
excited
help.
because they're going to be at the Bayou Bash. I get to
Oh,
meet
they are?
them and Smudge.
Cool. Oh yeah, I'd like to meet Smudge.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
That, and I'm excited that Abby and I are going to be cooking together.
Yeah,
I'll go
and what I'm excited about is she's sending some food home with Kate for me. Some authentic Cajun food. I haven't had that in a long time.
Thank you, Happy.
I have to-
appreciate it.
She asked me to name 2 or 3 dishes that I'd like for her to make for me. I still can't decide on. I mean, obviously I want some. I'm thinking some good old red beans and rice with sausage and stuff like that. And the way they do it down in, I think they call it. Is it dirty beans? Something like that.
Dirty rice.
Maybe that's it. Dirty. I know it was dirty something. And
Dirty you.
and some jambalaya, things of that sort. So I'm hoping she'll make me some really good stuff. Oh.
Same place. For trimming and at the root. Yeah. Well, this is the link. This is the first and only one that I have ever been able to go to, and I really, really would like to go to quite a few of the other ones, but
Cecilia, it is the Tech Tuesday, right?
being away from home just is not something I enjoy. My family garden. Hello, welcome. I'm glad to see you. It got something on it during. Oh, you're talking about the painting. That's too bad.
Just dump a little Clorox on it. That'll fix it.
Don't say that. She might try it, and then we'd be
Spray
open
it
for a
with spray
suit.
it with some WD-40 and see if that'll lift it off.
We're doing real well today, my family garden, aside from the fact that I seem to have dropsies and all kinds of things like that.
Kate's always, she's destroying hardware. I mean, she's injuring herself. I'm going to try to stay away from her the rest of the day because she's in a very, she might hurt me if I hang around too close. Just by fallout, I might get hurt because she's already ruined the keyboard today. And
yeah, I was trying to get ready for the live stream. I was moving stuff around on the table so I could put my coffee down and it wouldn't be in the way and it wouldn't spill on anything. Well, what did I do? I turned around to move something and knocked my coffee cup over, and it poured half a cup of coffee into my keyboard before I could turn around and stand it back up. So then I grabbed my keyboard, run to the kitchen, turn on the hot water, and use the sprayer and spray it down to get all the coffee out because I have cream and sugar in my coffee. Turned on my hair dryer and start blowing the keyboard out to try and get all of that out. I used the hair dryer for so long it died because it overheated. So then I went into the other room to get this um, apron out of the closet to wear it because I didn't have any other purple aprons in my other closet. Moving things around to get it out, I dropped a box on the top of my foot and that hurt. So I'm limping out. I've destroyed all kinds of things. And I decided today is not the day I'm going to keep my greenhouses. It's just.
A couple of days ago, our neighbor next door, their dog got loose. He was on his leash, but he likes to come running over into our yard. So Kate goes out to kind of help round him up. And the dog ends up wrapping his leash around her leg and then pulling. And it gave her a rope burn on her leg. So she's not had a very good couple of days. So, like I said, I'm going to stay away from her. She's just an accident waiting to happen.
I think maybe I'll go sit in my recliner, put my feet up, and not talk to anybody or do anything, and then I maybe won't get hurt. I had
Murphy's Law, yeah.
Night before last, I had a really bad case of GERDs, and it was so bad the stomach acid got up into my sinuses and had me up the rest of the night.
She was even had a nosebleed from it. That was that bad.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So last night I decided I was not going to sleep lying down. I was going to sleep sitting up, and that way, if I had a GERD problem, at least it wouldn't go up into my sinuses again. So I crawled into my recliner, covered up, had a big pillow under me and a smaller pillow under the arm. I had my neck pillow under my neck, covered over with a blanket. Then the cat and the dog decided to join me. So we're all sleeping in a recliner together. And actually, I got a really, really good night's sleep. Any garden coming up yet? I have 16 tomato plants I need to get in soil. And I've got the big pots to put them in now. Most of my herbs are already in pots, but I have a few more I need to sprout the seeds before I can put them in pots. So we've got some gardening going on here.
Dean, aren't there some special compounds that you can buy that are designed for cleaning paintings that, you use them like with a Q-tip and it just kind of, supposedly it takes off the stuff on the surface, but it doesn't go down deep if you're careful. I know paint restorers or, the people that work with restorations and stuff. And of course, I don't know anything about the painting that she's got either, but it seems like something like even just, alcohol carefully applied with a Q-tip might work. I guess it depends on how big the stain is too.
Thank you. That's another thing I have to plant is I've got purple potatoes, white potatoes, and yellow potatoes that I have to get, seed potatoes that are ready to go in the ground, and I need to get I'm planting them in 30-gallon trash cans, and I need to get them ready to go so that they can get all my potatoes growing.
And you're right, Cecilia, getting somebody who knows what they're doing to do it for you, but I guess it also depends on how bad the mark is. Yeah, mineral spirits, maybe that's what I was thinking of. I knew it was something that, that hopefully wouldn't mess with the underlying colors, whether it was either watercolor, or acrylics, or oils, or whatever.
Tim,
lay down bubble wrap on the floor around the recliner. That's a good idea, Tim. Thank you. I may wrap myself in bubble wrap, but so that being close to her is not as hazardous to me. Or wrap her in bubble wrap. I guess it'd be the same difference either way. But
I'm going to have to put it so I can't move my hands or arms, though.
Yeah, well.
I'm not sure that would work because I've got too much crochet that needs to be finished.
Yeah. I can leave your hands free. Just
there
your
you
hands.
Go. There you go.
Wrap you up just to your elbows.
I'm crocheting things for Abby, the daughter of the Broussards. She just turned 16 and she started her, what I call a hope chest. So I'm making some things to go in that. Happy.
Love the video with Blake where you guys on your front here?
Yes, we did. And one time we did it here. Yes. I have to do that again and show my garden or a change and maybe the bees. Yeah, I only have one beehive, so that wouldn't be a whole lot to see. I don't know.
Potatoes, if you're freezing them, that's... Lynx is asking how you want to preserve a bunch of potatoes She has freezer space and no root cellar or pressure canner.
Um,
I'm not
do
sure
you
you
have
could
a
do much.
dehydrator links? You can
Yeah, that'd be
dehydrate
about the
them.
only way to do it.
And you can dehydrate them in the oven if you're careful. Blake has a couple of videos on dehydrating in the oven. That's in Daddy Curb's farm. But I'm not sure. I don't think freezing potatoes would be a good idea because when they thawed out, the cells would be burst and it would be good for mashed potatoes, but probably not much else. Got
Well,
some
she might
good
be able to do it
news
in the
last
oven.
week. New glasses. Congratulations, Celtic. I don't like my new glasses. I'm going to have to take them back and
We're
get
gonna
other
have to.
ones.
We're gonna have to just call this particular. I mean, we both got new glasses at the same time, and neither one of us is really happy with them. These are my so-called computer glasses, but I can't read with them because they only work at computer distance. So if I need to read something, even I mean, obviously you sometimes read something when you back and forth to your computer. I literally have to change to my bifocals. So I mean, they're the same frames; they're exactly the same. So the only difference being these have bifocals and those don't. But to sit at a computer like I am right now, I need these because if I put these on, then I can't read what's on the screen unless I get up, like this. So they're not working for me, and Kate's are hurting her eyes too. So I think we're just gonna have to say that this $500 was just a waste of money, and go someplace a little better and get it done right.
Lynx, do you have a mandolin that you can use to slice the potatoes? If you do, that'll make them nice and the same width on your slices. And what I used to do was use my mandolin and slice them into a bowl of cold water that had a little bit of lemon juice or citric acid. Once you get them all done, then you put them in the boiling water to blanch them for about a minute and a half or 2 minutes. Take them out and dry them on paper towels and then spread them on cookie sheets. Put them in the oven at 200 or less and they will dehydrate.
Might take a while.
Oh, it does take a while,
Yeah.
but she doesn't have a dehydrator, so she has to do it in the oven.
The mandolin part's real important because they need to be roughly the same thickness.
That way
just so you got some uniformity when you're drying them out.
Mm-hmm. To be honest, now I don't have a mandolin anymore, but Dave bought me a electric meat slicer, and I slice everything on it, not just meat, but potatoes and everything else. Yeah, you can do that, Tim. You can make mashed potatoes and freeze them, but if she wants to use them for anything else, she can't do that. And if she dehydrates them and wants mashed potatoes, all she has to do is rehydrate them and mash them. So that works too. Carter's Eats, I haven't seen you in forever. Good to see you. Welcome to the live stream.
Hi there.
Thank you, Celtic.
Yeah, let's just say that this is a virus-free zone. That's all there is to it. Just, I'm hearing enough of it elsewhere. I don't need it here.
Right.
Don't need it.
Yeah, it's fun when I get that slicer out. I'm doing potatoes. Potatoes are about this long if you get good ones and like that. You set it down, you turn on the thing, and you slide it back and forth in here. As you go through it, slows the motor down.
On what?
On the slicer. Even when you're doing thin stuff, it slows it down.
Well, of course.
But it sounds funny.
Oh.
And as you do it and you look on the other side, you see these slices peel off and fall down. I can go through quite a few potatoes in no time at all.
Well, slicing potatoes on a slicer, because they're so dense.
It's what?
They're real dense. It's obviously going to slow the motor down. Yeah.
And it's great for, I bought a turkey breast the other day that was already cooked at the store. They were on sale. I bought that and I put it on the meat slicer, and now we have turkey sandwich meat.
I need to try some of that. Maybe lunch today. Maybe some lunch.
It's good. Be careful when you clean the blade.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
It comes out, it has a little thing in the center that you turn and pull the blade out. I'm very careful about how I handle it because I can cut myself just Not even touching a knife, I can cut myself. So I've learned
Well,
to
the
be
one
very
good
careful.
thing is I've at least taught Kate one thing. I detest dull knives.
Hmm.
So pretty much every knife that she uses nowadays is sharp. And I'm not talking just shy of scary sharp. In other words,
Yeah.
if I went to the very next step in sharpening, you could shave the hair off your arm with them. But I don't go that far because then that makes the edge just really, really delicate. But I have a very good knife sharpener. It's called a Ken Onion edition. It's made. It's a rotating belt kind of thing. But when I ask her probably once a month or so, you got any dull knives? And then in between times, I have both a steel and then a ceramic rod that I can true the edges up on her knives for. So Kate does not live with dull knives. She doesn't
No, I
have to.
don't. And it's wonderful. Since I've had sharp knives, since he's been taking care of them, I don't cut myself anymore. I found when I had dull knives, I cut myself a lot, but not anymore. Ahmad, I'm with your dad. I love roasted garlic, and I like to roast it, squeeze it out onto a plate, mix it with a little butter, and eat it right on crackers, just like that. So, used deal meat. What is a deal meat slicer, Celtic? Hello,
Uh,
Ellie. It's good to see you.
my dad, uh, well, he was a cook, but he's spent a lot. He was in the army for a while. He was a cook, and he did a lot of heavy duty. He was one of the first, what you could call, food truck guys way back in the 50s.
We have a picture.
And he had a big, the industrial strength slicer. And those things don't slow down. Whenever you're putting through them, it's zit, 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 kind
Right.
of like the ones you see in the deli. We had one like that. So that's how I got introduced to that and how to use that when I was just a kid.
I love it. I
So I've
just
been
love
around
my
sharp
meat
knives all
slicer.
my life. So, and my dad taught me a couple of good things. Number one, being around knives, and number two, being around guns. So, if it wasn't for him, I'd probably be nervous around both. Well,
Take care,
thank you for
thinking of
coming by,
others.
thinking of others. It's good of you to come by. Thank you. We appreciate all of our viewers, by the way.
Yes, we
Everybody
do.
that comes by here is much appreciated.
The
It's
support is awesome. And like we say every time, this for us is like having our friends sitting in the living room with us because we think of you guys as our friends. We truly do. Just checked out the corned beef video. Can't you? Oh, good. I'm glad you did. Thank you. The nicest part about that corned beef, doing it in the Instapot, is it only takes an hour and a half or 2 hours max. And I used to do it the old fashioned way in a big pot, and it would take hours and hours and hours. So
Dean,
this is
neither one.
wonderful.
This one is a belt sander that's electric. However, if I do want to go back to a whetstone, then I use 3-in-1 oil is what I use. So
Ah, okay. Military officer or police officer, Ahmad? My dad was a police officer before he passed away. He started off
but
just
if I have to, Dean, I'll use water on a whetstone. I don't use stones that much anymore. I find that I've got several different belts that I can put on this machine, and all the way up to a leather strop. That's the one that really does put the scary edge on the knife. So I just get them down to where they're pretty finely edged, and I've increased the angle a little bit so they don't dull up so fast. Basically, when I started, I essentially took them all down to where I put a brand new edge on all of her good knives.
wonderful.
The cheap ones that just don't work very well, or they won't hold an edge very long.
See you,
I
Roberta.
didn't worry about those, but I've given her some good knives too. Her 12-inch butcher
That's a
knife is a really
wonderful
good
knife.
one. She's got a kind of a square, almost a cleaver, but it's more of a what I would call a Japanese chef's knife. Those I started cold, and I've ground them down to where I put brand new edges on all of them, and so that's where I'm at on that.
Okay.
Thinking of others,
Thanks.
my Earth name is Dave, and I moved 8 years ago here in the northern mountains of lovely Georgia. Oh, that's a nice place to be. Go ahead.
Lynx. I use the Instapot for making all of my broth now. You can make broth in the Instapot in less than 3 hours, and it's much better than what you do cooking all day long. Um, Thank you, Ahmad, for telling us that he was in the Army. Roberta, take care. We will see you next time. Okay, now go back to it. I'm sorry. I had to catch
Okay.
those before they went off the screen and I couldn't see them anymore. Celtic says he
Major
likes
General.
high carbon
Yeah,
knives.
that's a good way to go. And then Link says likes the Santuco knife sharpener. There's a lot of good systems out there for sharpening knives. There's no one that is, the end all be all. That's for sure. But
And Dave, it's nice to have met you. I'm glad you came by.
the one that I use, I did quite a bit of research, and I finally decided on this one, and I certainly don't regret it. It's it's easy to use. You can do a knife pretty quickly, or you can just really take your time and go down belt by belt by belt and just really build a good edge.
And they are
So
wonderful.
it depends on if Kate needs one sharpened real quick. I just run it down the steel a few times and then run it down the ceramic rod and hand it
Thank
back
you,
to her and
Ahmad.
say, it's good for another few days. But I enjoy sharpening knives. I'll put it that way. I've got. Do me a favor.
Yeah,
Would you go over and get my Bowie knife off the window?
sure. I'll be right back.
I want to.
Answer links on how you find good knives.
Oh boy. I'm probably a very poor advisor on that, to be honest with you, Links. I mean, I see the advertisements for, the really beautiful German sets, the really nice Japanese sets. I've not gone that direction. I tend to go to kitchen supply stores and I look over their knives and I buy what appeals to me. Most of the knives that I've got that I brought to our marriage some years ago are probably 15, 20 years old. This is one that I bought at a flea market that I've since worked over and put an edge on. This is my Bowie knife. And this one is pretty sharp. I need to work on it again because it's just oxidized a little bit. But as you can see, that's no small knife. Now this one sits on a windowsill behind my front door. And it is essentially one of the weapons that I keep in the house that just kind of doesn't really show as being a weapon. And yeah, I've got some guns, and that's Kate's.
That's my gardening knife,
it's
believe it or
it's
not.
her K-bar knife. I hate to say it, but she uses it out in the garden. I mean, look at this. And this is a really nice K-bar knife. Most of us with any military background know exactly what this is. And it's even got the stuff in the handle. Well, she bought it, said I could not have it. And she uses this fine steel in her garden. And I can't get her away from that, but oh well. So anyway, but if you remember the size of a K-bar knife, that's it. And then you take a look at my Bowie knife. So there you go, darling.
And I bought it for the purpose of using it in the garden. I wanted a good quality knife that would last and that would hold a point.
Well,
Because when I'm out there chopping plants, I want something that works. And this works.
Henkel's does make excellent knives. Yes, they do. You're right. Yep.
Misha Lee, hello. Welcome. I'm glad you joined us. Thank you for coming. I hope I said your name right, too.
Actually, I do have an authentic samurai sword.
Yeah, we do.
It was left to me by my dad, who said that he took it off a Japanese major who didn't need it anymore after he met my dad. And it's the real deal. And it's one of the longer ones. It's not one of the short blades that they made after the start of the war. If you know the history about samurai, there's actually two different lengths for samurai swords. Back in the day, they were quite a bit longer than what you see nowadays. But when the war started, when they started moving the Japanese armies around, they found that those swords were incredibly hard to manage because they were, I don't know, what, 5 feet long or more.
Mhm.
So they shortened the samurai sword. And that has become kind of the standard that you see today. Well,
Take care, Celtic. Go lie down and get feeling better.
the one that I've got is the old school. It's the longer samurai sword. So it is the real deal, genuine, truly samurai sword.
Mark, welcome. You're not late. If we're on, you're not late.
Dean, go take care. I certainly understand that, friend. Just I wish I could hand you a couple of hydrocodone so you could lay down and rest a little better. But I imagine you got something for the pain. At least I would hope so. But to get back to Henkel knives, I've used them, but I don't own any. But I've looked at them, and just. But yeah, they're definitely a good name. Like I said, I don't necessarily buy by name. I just kind of. The last time I went and looked at knives, there was a little kitchen supply store up in New Braunfels that I used to go to quite often. And if Kate was looking at other stuff, I'd just kind of wander over to the knife rack and just kind of dream, because they had some beautiful knives there, but they were generally pretty expensive. But a lot of the ones that I admired there were Japanese, and a lot of them were German, and the Henkels was one of them. So anyway, Link's finally got a little time now since the toddler's napping, the baby's working on napping, so she may actually have a few minutes to herself, huh?
Ahmad cuts watermelons with his samurai sword.
Well, that's one use for it. But to be honest with you, I have several good blades in various places around the house, not for any particular use other than defense. The way I've got it figured, if we ever get broken into, I mean, an old couple like us, they're not, they're going to say, "You got any guns?" And I'll say, "Yeah, it's in there in the bedroom. Go ahead and get it." Well, when they come out of the bedroom, I've got a knife by the door there. I've got 2 knives in my nightstand. I've got another one on the dresser behind my valet. I've got a samurai sword in the living room. I've got 3 or 4 knives in my desk. Another couple in the table that's beside my desk. There are weapons all over this house. They don't look like weapons. So, and if I ever have to use any one of them, I'll do it without a doubt and no hesitation.
And I used to have a switchblade that looked like a bullet.
Yeah.
This big along.
That one wore out, unfortunately. That was a nice knife, too. I mean, it looked like a 50 caliber shell. It was about yay long, and then the blade came out. It was like a 6-inch blade. I really liked that knife, but the spring mechanism gave it up, so it wouldn't stay open. And it was pretty dangerous that way.
We have the same problems there. The time the cops show it's too late. Bad news, 9 years in the black. And breaking into my home means fun times.
Yeah, I certainly don't invite any violence, but if anybody comes to this house, they'd best be prepared for it, because I may not be able to breathe or run very well, but if I can take them down, I'll do it, and I won't hesitate. I would not hesitate to, I'm not going to shoot to wound. I'll put it that way. I'm not going to say, "I'm going to shoot you in your knee." No.
And
if you come in here with malintent,
you're going to use it right back at them.
They're gonna regret it. Either I'll regret it because they got me, or they'll regret it because I got them. That's all there is to it. There's no middle ground on that.
And for many years, I was a competitive marksman, and I am a very, very sharp shot.
Yeah, she's a good shot.
And if anyone comes at me, I won't hesitate to use it. And people used to think I was crazy when I said that. But the truth of the matter is, if I'm defending my home, my husband, my whatever, myself, I'm going to defend him, and I'm going to do it without apology.
Yep.
You get in more trouble getting worried about doing that than you do just doing it.
Mark, I'm inclined to agree with you about you don't need a gun if you know what you're doing.
That's why most of
But
our
look at
weapons
me.
are knives.
I mean, I'm old enough now to where I can't
Hi,
fight
Beth.
anybody. I'm not going to stand toe to toe with some 20-something punk, but I can certainly equalize the ground that we stand on if I'm standing there with a 357 in my hand and something like this in the other, they're going to think twice before they come at me, at least, even though I'm old and frail.
No, we don't.
So
Sorry, Ahmad.
that's all there is to it. You got to find ways to level the playing field. And for me, having quite a few weapons around the house that may not look like weapons, I mean, every knife in the kitchen is a weapon if we get right down to it. But that's how I kind of cope with that. Years ago, I might have said, okay, I'll fight you toe to toe, but I can't do that anymore. So I've got to find other ways to accomplish my goal, which is to protect my home and my family and, my place. This is my place. This is my ground.
Beth, welcome to the live stream. Where are you from, dear? What country? Are you from the U.S.? And if so, what state? We like to get to know the folks that come visit us here. And by the way, Ahmad, no, we don't walk or exercise like that. We're just not able to.
I'd like to. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
The exercises I get is gardening. And my doctor says it's good exercise and it's good for me. And I love to garden, so that works.
Shelter gets her exercise taking care of me. I've got her running all day.
Yeah.
Speaking of running, I think I'm going to call it a day, sweetheart. I know it's about almost 20 to 3.
Oh, Lynx, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh.
The light pole I'm not so upset about, but the tree, that's too bad.
Yep. Hate to see trees go. Anyway, folks, thanks for coming by. I'm going to sign off. I know Kate usually likes to spend a few minutes talking to everybody on her own, so I'm going to go back and I'll put this away.
I'll put it away when I get up if you want.
You sure?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
I went and got it,
Take
didn't
my
I?
glasses.
Thank you,
Watch
Ahmad.
back on. Thank you very much for coming by, folks. As always, I truly enjoy spending time with you. I'm going to go see what I'm going to do with the rest of my day. Now I got no sports to watch, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
Oh, Kevin's here.
Oh, well, Kevin,
I didn't see
Darn.
you come in.
a little late for me coming in, but
He says he's been watching.
okay.
That's why we didn't see him come in. I'm not leaving right away. Y'all can hang out for a bit.
Y'all take care. Love
Let's
y'all.
say they must have been
Truly,
going fast,
truly
probably
appreciate
80
you
to
coming
100
by.
miles an hour. 80 to 100 kilometers per hour.
50 to 60. Truly appreciate you coming by, folks. Really do. As always.
Oh, she said they didn't like the tree anyway.
Oh, well, in that case, okay. Well,
They're going to try to replace it with a
it's like
fruit
that
tree.
sandpaper tree. You want to be cut down.
When we moved in here, there was a tree in our front yard that the lady who planted it, who owned the house before us, called it a sandpaper tree. I do not know what the true name of it was, but the Native Americans used to use the leaves of that tree like you use sandpaper to smooth wood and things like that. So she liked it a lot. I hated it. It was a dirty tree. It blocked our sight of everything outside the front of the house. It was just a mess. So I eventually took it down. That took 3 years once we chopped the thing down to get rid of everything coming up from the roots, but I think they're finally gone this year. So let's see. Are you leaving Barefoot Chickens or are you saying goodbye to Dave? Where are the parrots? They're in their cages today.
And they've been remarkably quiet.
They truly have been remarkably quiet. That's true. I just didn't want to have to deal with them today, to be honest. So I left them in there. I'm sorry. Sometimes they're a joy, but sometimes they can become a bit of a chore. I'm going to move this camera around a little bit. Now I'm not sitting back in the corner. Oh, you can see my straw there. There we go. Hello, Lisa Lee. It's good to see you too. Let's see. Yeah, both of the boys are in, all three of the boys are in their own cages today. So, oh, okay. Thank you, Barefoot. I'm glad. Ahmad, thank you. We love our parrots too, all three of them. We're worried. I'm a little worried about the middle one age wise. He's the biggest of the three, and he hasn't been eating very well lately, and I'm a little concerned about it. So we're watching him closely. I'm judging whether he's been eating or not by the number of shells on the bottom of his cage, and I cleaned out the cages last night. I try and do that about every third day, and there were very few shells. Now, what he might be doing is going to the other two cages and eating there. So I'm just going to watch him and see if he looks okay over the days, but it concerned me a little bit. Would I ever try putting raised gardens in my front lawn or just the back fenced one? I do have one large raised garden in my front yard. We plant it as a pollinator garden for the bees and the hummingbirds, and it works great. It works very well. So let's see, Kevin, is he starting his molt? No, they've already gone through their molt for this spring. They went through it last month, which was a little early, but he went through it. I'm not real sure what's going on. Like I said, it might be that he's going into one of the other cages and eating there. So who knows? Let's see. Mark says, I was thinking of having a go at one of my dishes. Haven't got around to it. I've been busy recently, but if I get homebound, I'll see what to. Oh, wonderful, Mark. I'm sorry that the recipes are always in US measurements. I haven't figured out the other measurement system yet. So, and since I don't copy most of these recipes, I don't just copy from somewhere. I don't have the information on anything but the US measurements. Misha, we are in South Texas. So it's way down in hot country. Well, I'm glad that you can do the changes, Mark, because I feel kind of bad about it. Lynx, you're going to get a nap too? Good. When I had little ones like that, I took a chance to nap every chance I got because you don't get a lot of sleep right now. So, Mark, do you have any idea which one you might like to try? Let's see, Kevin, hopefully he's okay. I always treat my parents to some spaghetti. Now, Kevin, when you give her spaghetti, do you just cook it and serve it to her with a little butter or plain or what? Welcome back, Roberta. I'm glad you did. What did you think of the video? Ah, fabulous. Sorry, I didn't read all the way. I have an old cup measuring cup that came with coffee box for 10. Oh, excellent. Well, that's it easier. That does. Now, the measuring system for the spoons, teaspoon, tablespoon, and that's the same across the board, I believe. But I don't understand milligrams and grams and that kind of thing. And I don't have anything that measured it that I know of, other than this thing measures liters, I think. So at least I would have milliliters. Let's see. Mark says he's not sure. You have to look back as it's due to be good. Yeah, I believe that. Eli, it's good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Depends. Usually we make it at least once a week or so. Lots of veggies and some meat. So you let her have the whole thing just the way you would eat them. I know our guys get that, but they usually come down and sit on the tray with us, so we can't keep them out. We eat what we're going to, and then they come and finish up for us. Jason, you use Imperial in your home? Oh, okay. Well, again, I'm sorry. I don't understand that yet. I don't know how to make the change from the U.S. standard to Imperial. So, something I have not learned yet, and I'm too old, so I'm not really too old. I could learn it if I put my mind to it. I just haven't. And I'm sorry for that, but oh well. Cecilia uses both. Mongos can eat meat with no issues. Well, Kevin, our boys can eat everything we eat except chocolate and avocados. So they eat meat, they eat the veggies, they eat the pasta and the bread. Now, Karib, our oldest of the three, absolutely loves breads of any kind. You name it, he wants bread. So it's easy for him. Hello, call his name, he starts talking. Imperial is the same as US. Okay, well, what is the metric? I guess is what it's called. We use metric, but in the kitchen we have some old measuring equipment, so it helps that way. Oh, thank you, Ahmad. I'm a lot older than you think I am. I'll be 71 in a couple of months, so oh well. I honestly I believe that age is in your mind, and if you think young, you stay younger. I noticed I said younger. So metric is the European. Okay. And is there another system other than those two? Like, does the Middle East or South America use another one? Or Africa? I really don't know. I just learned to cook with the American system, and that's what I use. Ahmad, yes. You know, it's funny, people get all freaked out about age and about getting older. And I've always thought that that was a blessing. I mean, so many people don't get to live to be 70. So many people don't have a wonderful life like I have had, or a great partner in life, or wonderful parents, or all the other blessings that were placed in my life. And I, yes, boys. Sorry, guys. Sorry.